Mesdames et messieurs, le Liban a besoin de la communauté internationale et aujourd'hui à Paris, la communauté internationale est présente. Et avec la conférence internationale de soutien à la population et à la souveraineté du Liban. Une collective en faveur de ce pays si cher et aujourd'hui si menacé. Quelle est la situation au Liban où je me suis rendu mon premier déplacement en guerre. War that has already caused unprecedented destruction. Nos compatriotes, plus de 2006, more than 2,500 casualties, qui ont quitté leur foyer. 1 million people displaced, more than 20% of the population. 500 000 enfants à leur école, 500 hectares de terre ont été détruits. Cette guerre même de The war destroys threatens the cohesion of the country that has already been threatened by a succession of economic and political crises. So this is the equivalent of 15 years of economic growth in Lebanon that have been brought to the ground. So, given the situation, France has taken the initiative of organizing a conference in support of Lebanon. First of all, because Lebanon is not a country like any other country, as General de Gaulle said, in every Frenchman's heart, the mere word Lebanon stirs up something very particular. Les siècles, le seul peuple dont jamais le cœur n'a cessé whose heart has always beaten in sync with the French population. Lebanon is more than a friendly country, it's a brother country. And France has always stood by the victims of armed conflicts, wherever they be, and firstly and mostly those who have been threatened by humanitarian crises. 4 years ago, after 5 jours après, a few years ago, after the explosion in the port of Beirut, France called upon the international community to fund the reconstruction of Lebanon. And a year ago, after the terrorist attack of October 7th, France, 1 month later, organized a conference for Gaza in Paris. Today, 1 month after the beginning of the military escalation in Lebanon, France has organized a conference in support to the population of Lebanon and its sovereignty. And France will always herald any initiative for the people who are suffering on the side of those who abide by international law and by international humanitarian law and the rule of law. So this conference has produced significant results. On a diplomatic level, the 70 participating countries and 15 international agencies attended the conference, and with the collective strength and the weight of the concert of nations, the participants brought together
solutions diplomatiques permettant d'assurer une sécurité durable aux populations
in Israel as well as in Lebanon. Cette solution, nous en connaissons. Le président de la République les a rappelés tout à l'heure. Elle passe par la pleine mise en œuvre de la résolution 10 de sécurité des Nations Unies. Il s'agit d'hostilités de part et d'autre de la frontière. Les forces armées libanaises aussi œuvre son mandat et de régler le contentieux sur la qui porte une lourde responsabilité. Which bears a heavy responsibility. I think he needs to abide by UN resolutions, and France is working in favor of that with all of the stakeholders.
Sur le plan humanitaire, nous avons adressé
Now, on the humanitarian sector, we have provided concrete aid. We've managed
de dollars, un engagement collectif à la hauteur.
Which is a collective financial commitment in line
La France prend toute sa Le président de la République a annoncé portant notre contribution.
The president has earmarked 100,000 million euros of humanitarian aid, financial aid by France, in addition to aid in kind with medicine and medical equipment that have been shipped to Lebanon and have been sent via air to Lebanon. We will send out not an additional 100 tons of humanitarian freight to Lebanon. So France is a friend of Lebanon and will not let it down. And all of the institutions in the nation, whether you were talking about foundations, businesses, local authorities, are all mobilizing their efforts alongside the state. On Monday, I issued a call for donations, and I think it was it has been held. Businesses such as CMA, CGM, BNP, Sanofi, and Tulip have joined the call by contributing an additional €3 million. And I would like to pay tribute to them here, as I said so in person last Monday. And I would like to call upon all local authorities, foundations, or businesses, corporations, or any other who would like to mobilize themselves for Lebanon to do so. And if they don't know how to go about it, they can turn towards my ministry, the Foreign Affairs Ministry, the First Aid Center, the Support Center, and that center will put them in touch with trusted parties in Lebanon who will provide aid to the local population. This humanitarian support goes along with international support
de la souveraineté du Liban.
The armed forces, the Lebanese armed forces, and this commitment or
pour accroître le soutien
in order to support the financial aid and
à hauteur de 200
aid in kind for the equivalent of $200 million.
paix civile dans un contexte
allow the Lebanese security forces to maintain peace for the civilians and in the future to allow the army to take part.
Qu'il passe par son déploiement renforcé au sud Liban.
That the only way of going about it is in close cooperation with UNIFIL in line with Resolution 1701. So what's in stock for Lebanon? What is the future for Lebanon? It's a strong state. It's a sovereign state. It has the monopoly of legitimate forces and entrusted with the responsibility of ensuring the protection of all communities. No other external force can do so. Lebanon is pluralistic and will remain that way. The Shiite community, which is the most severely hit by the war, has its right place in Lebanon, and it must be able to live in full security in the country. So, and Lebanon needs a president. We cannot imagine having a country without a president that represents
qui puisse être le visage
and a president who can be the face and the voice of a united Lebanon. So this is the only condition
de l'existence
the unity of Lebanon and mere existence of the state. Jean-Yves Le Drian, the envoy of the French president for Lebanon, expressed the voice of the quintet, France, US, Egypt, for the election or for organizing election for electing a president, which is essential to do so. So we answer the call of the Lebanese with $800 million provided for humanitarian aid, $200 million for the support of the Lebanese armed forces. So all in all, it's more than $1 billion that have been mobilized today in Paris for Lebanon. And we will ensure the follow-up of this conference very attentively. And we will carry on with our diplomatic efforts to allow Lebanon to pick up. And this is our collective responsibility. I'll now take questions. Thank you. Thank you, Minister. We will now take questions. Mr. Kneiber from Al Arabiya.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Ministre. La France
Good afternoon, Minister. France is doing what it can. Please hold the microphone closer.
Dans tous les sens.
France is doing whatever it can.
Monsieur le Président.
Whatever it can. And you, as well as the President, you said that victims are victims that are unjustifiable. Now, what driving force does France have to prevent those who are killing Lebanese civilians from doing so? We'll take several questions before we...
Le levier dont dispose la France, c'est celui
What lever does France have? Well, it's diplomacy. I mean,
sur les sujets libanais.
And France is the one who defends the interests of Lebanon at the UN Security Council. And it's just not by
de trêve.
By sheer luck that France issued a proposal for a truce for the implementation of Resolution 1701 and Resolution 2735 of the UN Security Council. 2735 is the one in Gaza. Now, this is this proposal put forward by France before the UN Security Council is the result of many exchanges with representatives of the stakeholders in the conflict, and to try and find a way of putting an end to hostilities. If France can carry out such diplomatic efforts, it's in particular because the different countries in the world who are looking towards us, they know that France will always herald international law tenets, international humanitarian law principles, and the rule of law. The conference we held today was the opportunity for us to convey these diplomatic messages. And it was the moment for us to respond to the call to this drama, that is unfolding in Lebanon. France, after the explosion in the harbor of Beirut, after the strike by Gaza, and after the recent events, cannot turn away from any critical humanitarian situation. It can only do so by suggesting a way to restore peace through diplomacy. And here we're faced with a war, which is a regional escalation of the conflict. So we have to redouble efforts to try and convince them of stopping this escalation of violence. And it's not easy because wars have their own momentum. But rest assured that the President of the Republic and the way to our ambassadors in posted to locations that are difficult, and including our Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs, we are all putting in all of our efforts, an essential part of our time.
Van Gorgistani, France 24.
I'm from France 24. Now, with this amount of 800 million earmarked for humanitarian aid, what kind of guarantee can one have that these will actually benefit those who need it, i.e. the Lebanese population and the displaced people, in view of the current situation? Well, that's an excellent question, but this is something that has been looked into for quite a while already. And I would like to pay tribute to our staff at the Ministry for Foreign Affairs. With our crisis group and a crisis support group, we have established trusted partnerships with stakeholders in the field to make sure that the humanitarian aid that we have managed to put together reaches the people it's meant for. That's why I said when I'm calling out to businesses, those who are thinking of contributing to this collective effort of humanitarian aid to Lebanon, allow me to tell them that we have trusted instruments and counterparties in the field who will make sure that the recipients get the aid. As for international aid, it will reach Lebanon through different channels and through UN agencies or NGOs who have participated in our discussions today and who have their own connections with operators in Lebanon. And these agencies and NGOs act in full transparency and responsibility.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Ministre. C'est Michel Abouanagem du quotidien Panarab.
Good afternoon,
Monsieur le Ministre.
Mr. Minister. There has been much talk about Resolution 1701.
De même chose, le président de la République.
And it was mentioned by the President of the Council of Ministers of Lebanon, and the French President. Everybody mentioned this resolution, but how does one go about its implementation? Is there real coordination with your American partners who have a different understanding of the resolution from yours?
Well, that conference here in Paris continues. Speaking now then is the French Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs, Jean-Noël Barrot, at that conference then. Now, he confirmed that they have already raised $1 billion in pledges for both humanitarian aid and military support, though he did urge other actors, both state and private, to pledge more. Now, he emphasized France's historic ties to Lebanon, which he said puts Paris in a privileged position for pushing for peace, adding that his government is working with both sides to try to de-escalate. Now, France 24's Ketevan Gorgistani did ask him how France will ensure that these pledges actually benefit Lebanese civilians, to which he responded that Paris has established trusted partnerships with actors on the ground, and that aid will reach Lebanon through different channels, including, of course, UN agencies, as well as some of the 15 NGOs that are present at that conference today. Now, before Jean-Noël Barrot, we also heard from the Lebanese Prime Minister, Najib Mikati. He hailed what he described as a rather significant show of international solidarity for his country. He said that the Lebanese army is ready to reinforce its presence in the south, also to make sure, of course, that peacekeepers are protected. But he did say that the most important objective is, of course, obtaining a ceasefire. I think it's fair to say for now that there are few major announcements suggesting any serious diplomatic progress for now, the biggest takeaway then being that $1 billion in aid.